I knew she was gone. So I'm sorry. I need a moment.
Okay, we're gonna stop it right here. We need to take a break. Y'all, this is true transparency. So anybody that is experiencing this, if you're losing a loved one, if they're dying, or if they have gone away, if it's fresh, this is transparency at its finest. We're gonna get you healed, and we're gonna find some more healing through this. So stay tuned. Hey everybody. Oh, what's up?
Welcome back.
To Andrea Monroe from
Head
to Toe.
I'm taking over the show. You see how I'm ad-libbing with her? No. Go ahead. You got your coach back.
Well, welcome back from Dena Monroe from Head to Toe.
That's right. You know, I'm a guest, so guest is honor. Let's go. Continue.
Y'all, this is what I've had to deal with all of her life. Okay, she's been very, very spicy, very, very sassy since birth.
It's the Aries in me. Let's go, y'all. Y'all ready? Part 2? Let's go.
Y'all, I'm gonna choke her for part 3 get here. But no, this is my sissy and I love her. But
Me too.
okay, so I want to talk about. We talked about a great memory of mine.
Right.
I want to talk about the first time that. Okay, I'm gonna share a little background about how our mom actually passed. So our mom never been sick, never been in the hospital, none of our life. She nursed all of us, and we have an older sister. Shout out to you, Janika. We have an older sister, so all 3 of us, host of nieces, host of grandkids, host of nephews.
And let me just say this: our mom was the mom that be like, and that's probably why I'm like that with my son. Mom, we don't feel good. She be like, go to bed. Like, she never was the one like we going to the hospital. Like, you had to be like blue in the face before she would take you. So she didn't believe in that. Like, she was really old school. She believed in water, vitamins. I'm gonna feed you. I'm gonna give you some homeschool remedies. But once the hospital was like at the literally bottom of her list. Like, she would try every single thing to keep us home in quarantine, okay? Before she would take us out to the hospital. So that's where we get that from.
Yeah. So she nursed all of us back to health, from chicken pox to the flu to a cold. Never seen her sick. And so our mom, on our mom's side, there's rheumatoid arthritis. And so my mom actually started developing that in her latter years. And so her feet, it affected her feet, it affected her wrist. And she was always in a lot of pain. And so but she kept it trucking. She worked for as long as she could, and she was still very active. So we went from that to a phone call, literally like a massive stroke.
And so what's crazy about that story is that my little niece, Taylor, who's now 16 years old, and she'll be 17 this year, she had just learned my mom's phone number. Her mom's number. Her mom's number. And so I'll never forget, she called her mom, was like, it's something wrong with my granny. She said she can't move. And so my sister was like, okay, I just called 911. I'm gonna stay on the phone with you, go to stay at the door when they come. She's like, I'm literally right there. I'm coming. And so I'll never forget my youngest niece, Sweet Thing, which my mama gave her that nickname, but ain't nothing sweet about her. She kept I remember about her being there is that she told the EMS, like, save my grandma, don't let my grandma die. And so she was literally turning 6 that year. So I remember getting a phone call. I was out, it was Labor Day weekend, and it was like, come to the hospital. When I went, it was right before school started. So like every year for me in college, when it was like Labor Day weekend, it was so emotional for me because I would never forget that day, So and I would always call her like, Mom, I got this class, I'm taking this and this and that. So I had nobody to call and be as excited like I was as she was. And so after that, I stayed at the hospital as long as I could, came home because I had school. I had first day of school. And so I remember, after they found out it was kidney stones, they was going to do the surgery. And fast forward to October, I had midterms, and I'll never forget going to the hospital. I stayed in there with her until they wheeled her out, and I literally ran to the airport. My bestie from Payne College, baby shower weekend in Delaware, and it's something about following your first man and also your spiritual side. So we sitting there at Cheesecake Factory, and I would never forget something kept saying like, no, check on your mom's side text. I see Wanda, anybody who knows know they like this. And so she told me like, everything that was going on with us. I was like, I'm gonna call her, whatever. And I was like, so I called Pookie, like, you need to call mama this thing, all this is going on with her. She got this kind of infection, this and that, and she was allergic to my dog and all this. So as we ran back to Chanel's apartment, something was like, the Holy Spirit was like, call her now. So I called her. She couldn't really say a lie. It was like more like, I guess she might have been like in and out of her meds on top of being tired. And so I was like, I heard you allergic to Paris. And I'm laughing. And she was like, I was like, well, don't worry about it. We'll figure out what we're going to do with her, when you get home. And I was like, I love you. She was like, This was like 10:30, 11. 5 o'clock in the morning, my auntie Tanya called. Like, ain't nothing good coming out of a conversation. Somebody calling you that early. So I jumped up. And she was like, I see Tanya is bubbly and, hey, like, who's excited at 5 o'clock in the morning? Because I'm still asleep. So why you got a lot of energy and excitement? And she was like, hey, I don't want you to worry, but your mom had a stroke and a heart attack. They don't even go hand in hand, first of all. So I jumped up. I'm screaming, crying in my best friend's apartment, waking the whole house up. And could nobody get in touch with Andrea? So I'm calling everybody like it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, listen, we got a family emergency. Y'all need to go to her apartment. Tamika, Moses, all y'all, like, thank you for getting in touch with her. And fast forward, we go to the hospital, and they didn't tell me what kind of condition she was in. Like, I thought that she was up and alert. I had no idea that she was, wasn't aware, wasn't alert, wasn't up or anything. And so I guess in the hospital, it's a lobby full of people, co-workers, church people we grew up with in the neighborhood, high school, middle school, extended family was in the lobby. And I'm like, why is all these people here? Like, it's not that serious. Like, why they here? And so I refused to go in the room without Andrea. And my cousin Katisha was like, you need to go in there now. And I was like, I'm only going in there with Amber. Like, next to Andrea, it got to be Amber. And me and Amber went in there. And y'all, when I tell you, I would never forget that vision of how my mom was. I just ran out the room. Like, it didn't look like her. I refused to believe that my mom was sitting like that. I never seen her like helpless. And it's nothing that I could do for her. And we prayed. It was like a job. We was there every day, all day. We took over the lobby. Like, that was our lobby. And so it was an experience that I would never forget. And I would never wish it on anybody. Like, it's emotional to this day. Like, so love on your loved ones while they're here. Give them their flowers while they're here. If you always tell people, like, it's nothing too hard that God can't fix when it comes to broken relationships. So that's my take on what I remember about my mom process from being perfectly healthy, transitioning to being sick, and then to passing away. But she did put up a good fight. Like, she put up an awesome fight from October to December. And when we took her off the ventilator in December, which was another hard thing that our family had to make a decision, but it was ultimately up to my dad and my grandma. And so when my grandma said, let her leave with some dignity, what God has for her, let his will be done. And so we did that, and she lived 54 hours off the vent. So yeah, that's what I remember.
So my take, because honey, she done said in my food, but my take on it is that my mom, and I thank God for the parents that he blessed us with. I'm a daddy's girl, but I was equally a mama's baby too. And so me and my mom was like this. Like, when I experienced a best friend, it was through my mother first. And so she knew how to be a mom. Let's not be clear. There was no pushover. Nothing was pushover about her. But she was very approachable and she was very relatable. And I appreciated that in her. She was very honest. She was very cutthroat, very blunt. She didn't take no mess from nobody. She didn't care if you was the pastor or she didn't care if you was the teacher. Honey, if she had something to say, she figured out how to approach it and how to say it and get her point across. I think that's where we get that from. But I was actually in the room when she took her last breath, and I can remember sitting across from.
Oh, because we was watching Maury. Yeah.
But you had stepped out.
But I'm talking about when you was sitting by the window.
Yeah.
And I was
in the
next to
chair.
her.
Yeah.
And they say, like, I ain't even gonna cut you off, but
I mean, you did.
but no, so they say, like, you know, like when people die, they say like a last teardrop or like they vomit, and she kept having like.
Dena, let me tell mine. Hirsch, girl.
Go ahead.
So I remember sitting in the chair right across from her, and I remember her just vomiting. And so the nurses ran in. We got the nurses, and they started cleaning her up. And then she laid down, and I was looking. She was still breathing. And so moments later, she started vomiting again. So she's vomiting because at this point we decided to take her off the vent, which was a very hard decision, especially for me. I was like the only one that was like, veto X, no, it's not happening. Because when you lose a parent, and especially your mom, nothing to dads out there, but when you're fortunate enough to have an amazing mother who you, for one, see a superhero, like a superwoman, in all of her strength, when you see her not in that form anymore, it does something to your psyche. And the moment that it happens, like, it takes literally the breath out of you. It takes the feeling out of you. My attachment is different. Like, we're gonna be real on here. Okay, we're gonna be real on here, and we're gonna inspire people to let y'all know that losing our mother was by far the worst thing that has happened to us in this life. But it's been a blessing as time progressed, because now we're advocates for people who have lost their parents.
Do you remember how many people called us like after we lost our mom? Was like so many of our close friends was their mom. Like, I remember Char's mom had passed away, and we was encouraging her, and it was just people after that. It was like,
and I didn't want to
be an advocate.
I didn't want to be, trust me, I didn't want to be an advocate, because before then, and this is a transparency moment for me. Before then, my sister can vouch, I was a walking preacher. Okay? Honey, I would blast my gospel, honey. I had the mixes. I had the gospel mix 1, gospel mix 2, all gold CDs. And so people knew. I was having Bible study. Like, I was literally on fire for God. And so even when I flew to Detroit in the spirit of discernment, when I woke up and I had like 40 something missed calls, I was like, what's wrong with my mama? I immediately knew it was something wrong with my mama. So the last person that I talked to was my cousin, Katisha, who was my honey. And I was like, honey, what's wrong with my mama? She was like, you talked to somebody? I said, I feel it. I could feel the disconnect. I could feel like the umbilical cord being cut, in a sense. Is that weird? Like, I could really feel that detachment. And so it really does something to your psyche. And to see her take her last breath, like, guys, like, that was traumatic. It was so traumatic to the point where I immediately became numb.
Like, I remember, to piggyback off what Andrea said, I remember being in the room, because it was just like everybody else was in the lobby, like my aunties, but they gave us that time with her. And so we would take shifts, and the room was only so big. So I remember Uncle June being right outside the door, and I remember him being on FaceTime with his wife. And I remember, like Andrea said, she was by the window, so she was on my mom's right side, I was on the left side, and I was watching her. And I was like, just talking to her, because you're supposed to treat them like they living. She wasn't dead yet. She wasn't dead. And so I remember talking to her, and I'm like, Mom, you gotta hurry up, so we can watch Murray like we always do, and just laugh at these people. And I was like, I just turned 21. We still ain't have a chance to go to the casino. You gotta hurry up and wake up so you can teach me how to cook macaroni and my favorite dish, pork chops. And so I'm sitting there, and then that's when I begin to see like her nose. I was like, ooh, I don't see how parents do this. Like, how did y'all clean our nose and clean up when we vomited? And so the first time I did it, and then Uncle June would peep in the room or whatever. And then when she did it again, I'm like, Uncle June, she did it again. He's like, okay, calm down, let me go get the nurse. And so I left the room, and I remember being in the lobby with Auntie Stacy, Auntie Wanda, my dad, and all of them. And Pastor Jerome, and they was like, and I'm like, no, I don't want to see her like that. I want to remember the memory of me wanting to watch Murray with her again. And honestly, to this day, I really haven't watched it because that was our thing. And so I remember Uncle Sid coming out. The one was like, "What you scared of?" And I was like, "I don't want to see her like that." And he was like, "That's my friend. Before she was your mom, how you think I feel?" And I was just like, "I don't want to see her." So it took Andrea to come out there and was like, "Come on, sis." And so we went back in there. And at that moment, it was like I went back to being a kid. Like, well, can I give her a kidney? Like, can we wake her up? You know, I went back to that childhood like fear. Like, what can we do to bring her back? But I knew she was gone. So I'm sorry. I need a moment.
Okay, we're gonna stop it right here. We need to take a break. Y'all, this is true transparency. So anybody that is experiencing this, if you're losing a loved one, if they're dying, or if they have gone away, if it's fresh, this is transparency at its finest. We're gonna get you healed, and we're gonna find some more healing through this. So stay tuned. Part 3 is coming. Bye.